Hello ACL friends, Neil here. This video covers the second tip in our 5 tips for rapid ACL recovery, and this is all about rest, ice, compression and elevation, particularly in the times around surgery, so just before surgery and immediately afterwards. Certainly 2 weeks before, 2 weeks after, or the time from injury to surgery and then the 2 weeks after. This is extremely important. So rest as much as you can is fairly obvious. Actually getting ice on the knee to reduce inflammation, and with that ice, compression. And compression is really important within this regime. And if you can do ice and compression together, then all to the good. And the thing that I used for doing ice and compression together was the Aircast cryo cuff for the knee. A nice picture of that here. And this is a fantastic device because it does do ice and compression together, and that's basically what I use. What I would say, I actually borrowed one of these and actually regretted it to a degree because they are quite expensive. I think they're around $300. You basically put ice in the bucket there, and that when you raise it above the cuff that's on the knee, that actually kind of freezes that area of the cuff and also compresses the knee joint to take the inflammation away. I just kind of, because I was able to borrow one and therefore didn't buy one, I returned it after I was finished with it, kind of 4 weeks after surgery, and kind of didn't realize that later on down the line I would have some kind of further inflammation in the knee joint, and I could have used it again. So if you get the opportunity to buy it, it's about $300, then I'd say go ahead and do that. And the fourth piece is elevation, and obviously trying as much as you can, and this gets really difficult when you got to go to work and stuff like that. If you're in an office-bound job and you're going to be sat in a chair, you're going to find it difficult to keep your leg elevated. But the more that you can keep that knee joint elevated above the level of your heart, then the better, because you're not going to get swelling in that particular area. It's very, very difficult to do. What I would say about kind of rest and elevation is one of the things that I found particularly difficult. You're trying to do all your exercises, you're trying to put ice and compress your knee and all that kind of good stuff. But actually one of the difficult things is you want to have a life as well. You might have to go to work and sit in a chair. Can you keep your leg elevated at work? If you can't, then that becomes a problem because you're going to get increased swelling in the knee. And also things like going out to a restaurant. You're actually going to sit there with your leg hanging down, and it's not particularly comfortable, and it's bad for inflammation of the knee. So if you can avoid that, that's going to speed your time to recovery. So that's just what I wanted to say on RICE. If you need further information, as always, go to my website, aclrecoverysecrets.com. If you want to make a comment or have any questions here, then feel free to leave a comment in the box below the video, and I will be sure to get back to you. Thank you very much. Talk to you soon. Bye bye.